Good afternoon, everyone. We're going to wait a couple minutes just to let folks drift in. And I'll get us started at about, I'll say let's start at 5 after the hour because I want to leave us time to have questions after we do the presentation. Thank you all for joining us today. Really appreciate it. This is ASAN's presentation on our Teighlor McGee mini grants program. This will be the second year of the program. And the application window is going to open May 15th. We'll get into more details as we do the presentation. As I said, we'll get started at about 5 after to give some folks time to drift in. And thank you so much for joining us. And I'm going to pause our recording for now. So there's not just 5 minutes of silence for folks who tune in on YouTube later. Again, thank you all so much for joining us today for this first webinar talking about our Teighlor McGee mini grants program. There will be a second webinar in May where we'll get to go through the application. Today is just kind of going to be an overview of the program. There'll be time for question and answering. So y'all know I am Alex Grandstaff. My pronouns are they, them. I am ASAN's program manager. I am joined today by my colleague, Elias Bordaben. They are ASAN's Grassroots associate, and together we are the main folks doing work with the mini grants program. We're really excited to talk to you about it, and we're going to be very excited to see your applications coming later on in the year. I think with that, we can go ahead and get rolling. Eli, when you're ready, if you can share screen and we can get the presentation up. So today's presentation is focused on the Teighlor McGee mini grants program, what are mini grants, and how to apply. That'll be the main thrust that we'll be talking about today. And as always, again, we'll have time for questions at the end. Next slide, please. So first, we do want to talk about who was Teighlor McGee. So Teighlor McGee was an incredible advocate who fought for a better world. Teighlor founded and led the Black Disability Collective, a group which advocates for and champions the lives of Black disabled people. They coordinated information and resources during the 2020 protests against police brutality. They also wrote essays and articles, advocated for change at her college campus, and worked in multiple advocacy positions, including at ASAN. Teighlor unfortunately passed away in 2022, and their dedication and fierce love to their communities was very known to anyone who knew them. During their time at ASAN, Teighlor was actually a crucial part of creating this mini grants program, and it has been named in their honor. Rest in power, Teighlor. Next slide, please. And this is actually a picture of Teighlor. Image description is Teighlor is Black with curly shoulder length hair. They're smiling at the camera and wearing a deep navy turtleneck and a yellow cardigan. Next slide, please. So first, we want to make sure y'all know what is a mini grant. Mini grants are small amounts of money that are given out by a group. So for example, governments, schools, and nonprofit organizations like ASAN run mini grant programs. A mini grant can help a person or a group pay for a specific project. Excuse me. ASAN's mini grant program will give 4 people or groups up to $6,250. They can use this money to do any kind of advocacy project. Advocacy projects can be local, state, or national projects. Next slide. So there's two mini grants that are available under the Teighlor McGee mini grant program. One is the Affiliates in Action mini grant, and the other is the STEP, or Self-Advocates Transforming Equitable Policy mini grant. We'll be going into details about both of those coming up. Next slide, please. So first off, who can apply for Affiliates in Action? One, you must be a current affiliate. That means that you've completed the group has completed their affiliate application process and been accepted into ASAN's affiliate program. Groups that are not yet affiliated must apply to become an affiliate and be approved before they send in the mini grant application. An affiliate group must be actively meeting. Active means that your group meets at least once a month, either virtually or in person. The group must be self-advocate led. That means run by people who identify as self-advocates with developmental disabilities. For example, autistic people or people with intellectual disabilities. The Affiliates in Action grant is open to international affiliates. Next slide, please. So who can apply to become an affiliate? In order to apply to become an affiliate, a group must have a year of working experience. So in other words, your group has been meeting for at least 1 year. Be active with multiple members who attend those meetings regularly. Be led, at least in part, by autistic self-advocates. Have at least a third of the work that the affiliate group does be about advocacy, and have values in line with ASAN's values and mission. And you can find ASAN's values and mission on our website if you're not sure about that. Next slide, please. Now, how to become an affiliate and get the application. You actually would email me at my email address, which is agroundstaff@autisticadvocacy.org. Let me drop that in the chat real quick. And when you send the email, all you have to do is tell me, hey, we're interested in applying to become an affiliate. We believe we qualify. And then I'll get back to you, and I might ask you a couple questions to make sure that you do fit, you can become an affiliate. And then if that's the case, then I will be emailing you an application. You'll fill out that application, email it back to me, and then we'll go through the process of looking over your application, seeing if you fit. And if you do fit, then you get to become an affiliate. And then if you want the Teighlor McGee mini grant, then you apply to the mini grant program. So there's 2 applications in that situation. Next slide, please. So then we have our other mini grant, which is the Self-Advocates Transforming Equitable Policy, or STEP mini grant. So you do not need to be an affiliate to apply for this grant, but you do need to live within the United States. Excuse me. In order to apply, you must be a person with a developmental disability. You do not need to have an official diagnosis to apply. You also, in order to apply for the STEP mini grant, must have pre-existing contacts or connections to communities of color, and the project that you will want to do should plan to work with people of color with intellectual and developmental disabilities and address problems they disproportionately face. Next slide, please. So applications for both grants must be, everybody who's applying must be 18 years of age or older. If you're applying as a group with an organization and you have some members who are under the age of 18, the majority of your members still need to be over the age of 18. And the ones who are sending in the application need to be over the age of 18. They need to be adults. So that's just the stipulation there. Next slide, please. So in particular, these are some groups that we are really interested in seeing projects from. Either that we're looking for projects that are being led by these groups or that can help these groups. So that is autistic people of color, non-speaking autistic people, both full-time and part-time, autistic people who are LGBTQ+, and LGBTQ+ stands for lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and queer. It also stands for other sexual orientations and gender identities that get treated unfairly by society. We're also looking for applications from autistic people with intellectual disabilities. Next slide, please. So we want to also give y'all example, like an idea of what kind of projects the ASAN wants to fund. Both of these mini grants, the affiliate mini grant as well as the STEP mini grant, are for projects focused on creating change for people with intellectual and developmental disabilities at the local, state, and national levels. We want to fund specific projects from either self-advocacy groups or individual self-advocates. Next slide, please. So some examples of projects that the Teighlor McGee Grassroots mini grant could pay for are things like a Hill Day visit to talk about disability policy, creating easy read and plain language translations of important information. So for example, writing about disability in healthcare or self-advocates' rights. Teaching people about important policy topics. For example, giving a training about HCBS, home and community-based services, setting rule to self-advocates. A project based on coalition building, which is working with other groups to build your movement, as well as mutual aid projects, so helping self-advocates in the community. Next slide, please. So things the mini grant program will not pay for. So we won't pay for general operating support, which means we won't offer money that's just needed to keep your group going. We want to give money to like a specific project your group is doing. We also will not pay for regularly planned programming or events. So for example, a conference that happens every year. Next slide, please. So how many projects will ASAN pay for at a time? So we will give out mini grants for 4 projects at a time.
I'm getting here real quick.
Oh.
For the previous slides, because now we're kind of changing to a little bit more detail about how many projects. If y'all are interested in what sort of projects ASAN or ASAN wants to fund, you can always look at our website and see 2024 past grantees. So if you go to our website and click on the Teighlor McGee mini grants under resources, under the drop down menu under resources, when you scroll down to the frequently asked questions, there will be a question that says, what have you funded in the past? And you can look at 2024's recipients and see what we've actually funded last year and see maybe if your projects are similar.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing that, because we were really excited to get our first batch of grantees, and the work that they're doing is really, really, really exciting. We're really happy that they trusted us to apply. We're happy that y'all are interested in applying. I've linked the page Eli was talking about in the chat. Next slide, please. So how much can each project get? Each project can get up to $6,250. And the way that the money will be given out is grantees will get half of the funds in January of 2026 when the project starts. And then the other half of the money will come in June of 2026. And I think we get into this with the application a bit. I say when the project starts, we recognize that your project may last longer than the year that you get the mini grants money, but the time of the mini grant is only for the year of 2026. So there'll be the beginning point where you get the funding, the first half of the money in January of 26, and then the halfway mark is when you'll get the second half of the money in June of 2026. Next slide, please. So what do grant awardees get along with the money? Grantees will get advice during quarterly check-ins. That means we will be checking in with y'all Specifically, Eli will probably be the person you'll get to check in with. And you'll check in with them 4 times a year throughout the time period of the grant. You'll also get access to online training and support and help with networking. In other words, if there's somebody like in the course of doing your project, if you think like, hey, we really want to do a panel, we'd really like to have non-speaking advocates join us who have experience with reproductive healthcare issues. That's a random specific example that I'm just sort of pulling together. You can say that during the check-in, and then we can try and see if we know anybody who might be able to join your panel. That's kind of what we mean when we say like help with networking. Next slide, please. So what do grant awardees need to do? Grant awardees will be expected to give ASAN updates about how their projects are going, meet with ASAN on a quarterly basis, and we'll work with the grantees' schedules. It's not that we're going to just tell you like you must appear at this time on this day. You'll get an email that will say like it's time for the check-in. Here's some options of what day you can meet, what time you can meet, that kind of thing. You also have to give us a budget for the project so we know how much money you're looking for, and also like what you think you'll be spending that money on. You'll also update that budget each quarter to show us like how the money was spent. Next slide, please. So the timeline. The applications will open in May. On the day that the applications open, we'll actually be hosting the second mini grants webinar that we'll get to talk about. We'll just go through that application with y'all virtually. And also at that point, Eli will be starting office hours. So if you have any questions about the application, maybe you're not sure you qualify, maybe you're not sure or how to talk about your project, you can book those office hours, and they're here to help you. They want to help you. July is when that application window is going to close. And that means like you can't please get your application to us before July 31st. We won't look at it if you send it to us afterwards. August through September is when ASAN, the team will come together and we'll be looking at the applications, and we'll reach out to folks to ask for interviews. The interviews will be asking more questions about the applications, about the projects, and seeing kind of just sort of going deeper. And then in October is when we will let the awardees know if they have been accepted into that they've been accepted as a grantee. Next slide, please. So continuing the timeline, once the grantees have been selected, January is when the projects start and the first half of the funds will be given out. March is when that first check-in happens with ASAN. June is when the second check-in is, as well as that's when the rest of the money is given out. And then September is the third check-in. And then December is the final check-in. It's when, again, we know that your project may continue past the point of like the grant timeline, but that's sort of when your project under the mini grant program will end, and you won't have to worry about checking in with us anymore or something like that. Next slide, please. So now we've hit the point where we can open up the floor to y'all, and we want to know what questions y'all have about the program, and you can share those through the Q&A section. I'll also flag that if you don't have any immediate questions for us, you can still reach out to us. I believe Eli's email is on the mini grants website. I've dropped my email here. Please feel free to email us questions if they come up later. But right now, this time. We have about a half hour left in this session. So please, there's no such thing as a silly question. We want folks to feel comfortable applying. We want folks to feel comfortable about the program. Yeah, we're really excited to receive information.
Okay, it looks like there is a question. If we wanted to start working on a grant proposal but needed help from ASAN to start getting together a group, be an affiliate, is that something that ASAN can help? Um, yes and no. I think to some degree, if you are interested in what's available in your area, so for example, say you live in Atlanta and you want to start a group or a project in that area, but you're not sure how to get started, you could reach out to ASAN and we could point you to other affiliate groups or other folks that we know in that area who are doing work around advocacy, self advocates, and disability rights in that area. Um, Obviously, not every area. We have not reached all 50 states yet, but there are some areas where we're going to have more connection, and some where we're going to have no resources whatsoever that we're still working on getting resources or like getting connections in. But for the most part, like if we're going off of that example, we would be able to like connect you with who we know in that area and then suggest you either join in an existing affiliate group and, submit your proposal, like talk with them about like, hey, do you think we should do this idea that I have? ASAN has this mini grant. I think your group would be a good like one to handle this sort of project and this idea. But as far as like building a group from scratch, that's not really in ASAN's wheelhouse. Like we wouldn't be able to like grab 16 people in a specific area and be like, here, meet with so and so who wants to create an affiliate group. It would be more like we have some vague connections in the area, we can connect you with them and see if a group naturally builds from that with your effort and your footwork and your hitting the pavement. Hopefully that answered your question. I'm gonna next question. Is the 50-50 split in stone? I'd like to support a post-Helene community micro documentary and outreach video series and would primarily need funds at the outset for equipment. Um, maybe maybe speak a little bit more what you mean by that, because as far as it goes, even if you were to receive the max amount, 6,250, it is pretty much you would get 3,125 in January and then 3,125 in June. And if you were unable to buy your equipment with that 3,000 in the first half of the dispersal, we could talk maybe with our financial department about working with you specifically to like purchase the equipment necessary and remove it from your funds, and so you get a lesser amount in June. But we've never, because again, this is only our second year, we've never had that happen before, so there might be some obstacles that we're not aware of or seen yet, but we could try to work with you to make that possible. Um, I think it might be a concern if your equipment is more than half of the grant budget. And so if that's the case, I would maybe look into securing more resources or a secondary grant to help you with the project. Um, Also, as a videographer or somebody who has videography experience, I'm not sure that more than 3,000 might be necessary for like simple, like if you're doing a more simplified thing, like here's an SD card, here's a software program that helps me cut and edit the footage that I'm recording. Um, it is possible if you're like going more high end with things that you hit over 3,000. Um, but that's just personally. Hopefully that answered your question. If you'd like to ask a more specific question about the 50/50 split, feel free to do so. And then another question, more info from me. I'm hoping to make a part of my PhD dissertation focus groups, qualitative interviews, and an advisory board to discuss disguised, less recognized forms of stimming. But I would love help from ASAN for some of that. I know some folks who work from ASAN. So what I'm hearing maybe is you want to create an affiliate group for autistic folks that focuses on alternate forms of stimming, to kind of help with your dissertation. And that's, I think, also something that maybe we need to touch on a little bit more too when we talk about like types of projects that we fund. Dissertations are kind of tricky because it's very individualistic and very hard to kind of apply um, the conclusion of a dissertation to community more widely when we're trying to focus more on policy versus like academia. And that's not to say that research is not important. It's very important. It's one of the things that ASAN is very passionate about. Um, but we do want to see something that's going to have kind of a wider scale beyond than just like helping you pay participants in your thesis for their participation, essentially. So we definitely would be able to maybe help you connect to folks who would want to be interviewed for your thesis, if that's what this question is asking, or would like to talk with you about their stimming practices or things that they do that are less recognized. Um, but I'm not sure how you would turn that into project or proposal to this specific mini grant. So maybe when my office hours open in May, book a slot with me and we can talk a little bit more about what your vision is and where you're trying to go.
Additionally, to piggyback off of that, it sounds like that would be a group that's more temporary and project focused, which is also not quite how our affiliate program works. Our affiliates are usually community-based groups that aren't necessarily focused around like one research project, but are more focused on like particular communities. Like we have a group that's dedicated to autistic educators. Um, we have one that runs support groups in their community. We have a lot that do like, we have a group that is disabled parents doing state level advocacy. We have a lot that are doing different like community projects, but those are, it's sort of the thing of like the group lasts beyond whatever project is, whatever projects they have. As a project is completed, they kind of like find a new thing to work on. Um, the fact that you are interested in research, you may still be able to, even if you're not a good fit for either our affiliate program or the mini grants, we may still be able to connect you with other like self-advocates doing research work who may be able to give you a hand on that front. And that goes for anyone.
Yeah. And additionally, I think in this regard, it might be good if, like, if you are in a specific area and you're looking for that sort of connection, if there happens to be already an affiliate group in your area, we could connect you to that affiliate group. And like we mentioned earlier, you could present your project idea to this affiliate group that is already established and work with them to apply for one of the grants, and kind of focus on what your project is looking like and how that project will benefit that affiliate group, and benefit, disabled folks in general in your area. And that could be a way as well, if like creating a whole entire affiliate group from scratch is difficult for this concept. Um, that being said, as I said earlier, we only have like maybe how many affiliate groups do you have? 16? 16 or so. I'm not sure, but we definitely don't have 50. We don't have one in every state. So it is conditional upon like where you're based out of, and if there are no affiliate groups in your area, we can try to connect you with other sorts of resources or with folks who might be interested in starting an affiliate group in your area. But like Alex said, the affiliate group would have to be a meeting for a year to be considered for this specific cycle of the grant. And additionally, the affiliate group would to continue to exist for the other things that it does, not just this project. And I hope that makes sense. Um, but I mean, good stuff to start thinking about now. Because if there aren't any affiliate groups in your area and you want to be making an affiliate group, you could be thinking cycle, coming up. So you maybe just need to get ducks in a row or what have you. But we'll try to help as best as we can. Again, I would just suggest maybe those off.
Do folks have any other questions for us today?
It does look like folks said we have answered. So if nobody else has anything to ask, and again, just reminding y'all can email myself or Alex with any additional questions. If later you think of a question, you're like, oh, I wish I had asked that, you can definitely reach out to either one of us and we will provide you with an answer as we are able to. I think for the most part, we can have some answers easily ready and available for you. But if it's 2 or 3 days to, you know, touch point with the financial department and other departments to make sure that we're doing information. But for the most part, definitely feel free to ask whatever comes to mind and make sure if you all are interested in applying to catch our next webinar because we will be going step by step through the application process, really breaking it down, really making it as easy as possible because we understand that applications can be a very overwhelming process, especially with the amount of information that nonprofits have to collect from their grantee recipients. We just want to make sure that we're kind of breaking it down for y'all. So you're not in May if you're
Yep. It looks like we don't have any further questions today, which is okay. And in that case, then we look forward to hopefully seeing you join us in May and getting to see your applications. Thank you so much for taking the time with us today. We're going to give you back the rest of the time for this session. And once again, if anything pops up later, please feel free to email us. And thank you for joining us today. But otherwise, take care.
And do you know when we'll be putting this on YouTube?
Yeah.